Hello, bonjour, and welcome to WT France, the podcast in which we tell you WTF happened in French politics last week. I'm your co host, Juliette, sitting with my co host in our living room in Denmark.
And I'm Pepijn. Hi, everyone. This is probably going to be another one of those episodes where we don't keep to our time. I'm looking at the show notes Juliette wrote, and there's 7 pages in small font. Last week, we asked for feedback, and we got some feedback from people on the length of the show and how to approach the show. Thank you very much. Some people said 15 minutes is a good format. Some people said 15 minutes is a good format. So we'll ask for feedback again this week.
Yeah, sorry about that. It's going to be very long indeed. I had a really good outline going on Thursday night, and then so much happened on Friday that we could do a full episode just about that one day.
I guess there's trains, boats on the River Seine, Celine Dion, a naked Smurf, Eurodance tribute, a laser show at the Eiffel Tower, a naked Smurf. Seriously, a hot air balloon floating around on fire over Paris. The French really seem to know how to put together the Eurovision. The Eurovision. What did you think of the show?
I mean, it was not Eurovision, but it did feel like one. I am so happy, honestly. I thought it was a wonderful show. I put it on TV because I thought it'd be nicely entertaining and we'd just relax with a glass of wine. And then it turned out to be an opening ceremony that featured absolutely everything I love. It was incredible. There were so many special moments. I loved the Marseillaise sung from the rooftop of the Grand Palais. I loved the tribute to French feminists. I loved replacing fraternité with sororité in the national motto.
Mm-hmm.
I love the choice of the people to carry the flame and the people who got to light the cauldron. I love that Céline Dion overcame the horrible disease that she has just long enough to sing the hymn to love from the Eiffel Tower. I'm just over the moon today. It was amazing.
I actually agree. I honestly think I loved all of it, and I did not expect that. I'm not a person who watches the Olympics. This was the first time I watched it. Indeed, Olympics, not Eurovision, although I think one could replace the other. It's not one thing that I liked. It's not like I liked just the 1990 Eurodance memories, although that was fun. I think what I liked best was the underlying vibe of celebrating France or maybe pan-European cultural humanism without resorting to stereotypes like floating croissants and stuff like that.
That would have been fun, a floating croissant.
I think there should have been a floating croissant, but there's
So
always next year.
There isn't actually.
This should be. Again, this should replace the Eurovision. I think, just to be very holistic here, I think it was an very inclusive ceremony
Super inclusive.
where tolerance and diversity was celebrated. I liked how it celebrated everything from the famous religious symbols to the classic French cross-dressing and the literary heritage. It's true.
I don't think everyone agrees that cross-dressing is classically French, but we'll get to that actually.
Okay, but I also like that there was a computer game character running around wooden roof structures with a flaming torch. That seems
Safe?
super safe. And okay, if we're talking about stuff now, I also really liked the mechanical horse. It was super stable in the water.
It was cool.
I think we should focus on the engineers who designed that. It's like it struck off all the waves. It's like, if you haven't seen that, listeners, find a video on YouTube of the horse, the mechanical water horse. I think we're a little bit off topic here, politics-wise. Should we not move on to politics, Juliette?
Well, everything is political. And this show was ripe with political choices that might not be clear to people outside of France. So I want to cover some of these. So to start off, that scene you mentioned earlier with the cross-dressers, I think you were referring to that drag version of The Last Supper.
Yeah.
There have been many people on the right and the extreme right criticizing it for being offensive to Christianity. The French Catholic Bishops Organization even made a release about it. Now, of course, I mean, this is a complete overreaction. The Last Supper is obviously a very iconic painting, but it's been copied and used in pop culture on so many occasions. The Simpsons did it, Asterix and Obelix did it, like so many TV shows did it. Really, the problem was not the reference to the Last Supper, it was the fact that it was done by people in drag.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, I'm pretty sure if the Minions had done it, these people would not have said a word. So it's maybe
Oh gosh, I'm just picturing that.
really like these chirpy sounds as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, so it's basically old-fashioned homophobia from the right and the traditionalist Catholics, maybe a culture war thing then.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like they're looking for something to be outraged about. And there's another big moment that French politicians are reacting to, and that was the tableau with Aya Nakamura.
The one with the golden sparkly outfit.
Yeah, that was such a cool outfit. I loved it.
She was awesome.
Anyway, so this scene was months in the making. Aya Nakamura, she's super popular globally. She's actually the most streamed French artist on the planet. But there's politicians like Marine Le Pen in particular who hate her. They say, or Marine Le Pen at least says she finds the singer very vulgar, she hates the style, she hates the music, she sort of hates everything about her. Le Pen went as far as to say a couple months ago that having Nakamura sing La Marseillaise, the French national anthem, at the Olympics would be humiliating.
Whoa, that is a sad comment. But she didn't actually sing the Marseillaise.
No, she didn't. Someone else did. What she ended up singing was this amazing mix of her own songs and a song by Charles Aznavour called For Me Formidable, which blends French and English lyrics really lovely. And there was a side reference to a big criticism that she doesn't sing only in French, far from it, but she also uses a lot of slang in her lyrics. And on top of it, she sang in front of the Académie Française building.
Christ. Okay, two things. I don't think these people criticize Celine Dion for sometimes singing in English.
She's not French though.
France is. It's a colony.
Oh God.
Okay. For any Canadian listeners, you are not. Anyway, we'll move on, I guess. The Académie Française building. What's that again? It rings a bell, but
So the Académie Française, that is the institution that exists to quote unquote protect the French language. But they're often criticized because what they're actually protecting is a version of French that's very academic and less relatable to how people speak every day.
are these the people that determine that a computer is not a computer in France, but actually an ordinateur?
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. So what about that band that was with her?
So the band that was with Aya Nakamura, that was La Garde Républicaine. It's an elite military marching band. And that was actually such a beautiful touch, kind of mixing a very serious looking group in a strict uniform with a very cool singer pushing boundaries. I just loved how it showed very different facets of France in the same scene.
So the symbolism is a little bit in your face, I guess, but isn't that maybe what you need to pass a message to make it work for a billion people? Or
Yeah.
It's probably a billion people.
Yeah, you can't be too subtle, I think.
The whole thing just seemed to be just meant to be fun as well. Like the athletes on the boats, they were having the time of their life, even though they were somewhat on the drained side by the rain.
Yeah, they
Drenched
were
side. Yeah.
drenched. And this felt like such a relief after dealing for so long with so much tension in the country. It was a wonderful outlet and a bit of a moment out of time. So there was like, part of me wants to just let the haters hate in their little corner and we just keep on going and having fun.
Yeah. So we should probably move on soon, but I have one more question about this before we move on. Don't hate me for it. Can you help me understand what is going on with the mascot of the Olympics?
I'll ask you back first. What do you think it is?
it, I think it looks like an inverted female reproductive organ with googly eyes. And they have these
Not
heads. If you shake them, the googly eyes shake on the end of them.
no, so not even close.
Oh, okay.
It is a Frisian hat. Frisian here is spelled Phrygian, in case anyone wants to look it up. It's not a very easy spelling. It's a type of hat that people wore a lot during the French Revolution. It's actually one of these things that is so instantly recognizable to me as a French person, I didn't even realize it would be weird for others. If you want to know what it looks like, fun fact, it's actually worn by the Marianne, who is leading the revolution, and that's the image for our show. So if you just go to our show page and look at the painting by Delacroix there, the hat that the Freedom Lady has on, that's a Frisian hat.
You might as well like and subscribe it then as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So it's not an inverted female reproductive organ with googly eyes. I thought it was.
It's not.
Okay. Yeah. Should we maybe for now leave the Olympics to the sporty ball-liking people and cover the rest of the week? Like I asked you last week as well. Hey, Juliette, does France have a prime minister yet?
Okay, if we must talk about the Prime Minister drama, it is still not resolved, though a massive step forward was taken by the Nouveau Front Populaire this week. They have a candidate.
Yes.
Her name is Lucie Castet, and her name was put forward on Tuesday night, just before Macron was due to go on a big TV interview.
The timing was interesting. What do we know about her? Like her Wikipedia page on Tuesday night. Was it a very extensive Wikipedia page?
It was no Wikipedia page. This is how utterly unknown she is, actually. This took a lot of people by surprise.
Huh.
She's a high-level civil servant. She's currently working for the city of Paris as the head of financial services.
But that's a bit of an odd choice. So why?
So it is an odd and unusual choice to choose someone who's really, really not well known. But I think it's a good solution to the roadblock that the Nouveau Front Populaire was facing, because so many of the potentials had so much baggage, history of disagreements. So looking completely out of the box, out of the usual crowd, was a smart idea. And she shares a lot of the ideas and values of the NFP. Her core focus is public service. She actually leads an organization of people employed as civil servants who are looking for ways to improve the quality of public service in France. She's been very vocally critical of the way repetitive budget cuts and tax cuts have eroded the quality of service by removing civil servant jobs, teachers, healthcare workers. There's just been a massive decline in the past 20 years. And this really overlaps really well with the program of the NFP. So another thing that she's been extremely vocal about, I don't know if you remember, maybe a year or two ago, there was a big scandal about how much the government was relying on McKinsey, for instance.
Oh, the external consultant.
Yeah, the external consultants coming in to give you advice that tends to be very McKinsey-like. So it's like, oh, you should just spend less and have more money. She was one of the people who criticized that the most, pointing out that this used to be what these advisors were doing. This used to be what civil servants were for before they laid off all the civil servants and replaced them with McKinsey contractors that were paid more.
So she has been a little bit political while not being political, actually.
Exactly. So she's not coming completely out of nowhere.
So last week, you mentioned that Macron said that he wanted to wait for the formation of the National Assembly to merge to name a prime minister. I guess since that happened and the NFP now found a candidate they agree on, this might help Macron to nudge him towards a decision. What did he decide? It was it was put forward just before he gave an interview. So did he?
So he is being quite stubborn. In that interview, he explained that his plan is actually to not name a prime minister before the end of the Olympics.
Um, didn't you say he'd named someone before?
Yeah, clearly I was wrong there.
Ooh. So what's this? That makes sense. Because this seems to be almost incomprehensible how this process goes. So what do you think is his plan then?
I think his plan is to wait. He's acting as if the Olympics just snuck up on him unannounced and it's not possible to change governments in the middle. But again, this all happened on his calendar. He's the one who chose the snap election and the timing. But yeah, he decided to brush aside the offer from the NFP. He said it was off topic and he's not interested in the NFP candidate because they don't have a majority in the assembly.
Huh. So maybe he's just not into sports. That could be, because I also really didn't know the exact timeline of the Olympics, but mostly off topic.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre thing to say because who is prime minister is very much on topic right now. And yeah, he doesn't seem to take the lead in asking anyone to form a government or find a base, but he's also refusing the offers that people do bring to him. He's saying the NFP isn't legitimate to make a proposal because they don't have the full majority, but no one has the full majority. I think his issue is that the script that he had in his head when he called for the election didn't pan out.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. What do you think his script was?
I think he thought one of two things might happen. Either the centrists came out in front and he would use that as proof that he has legitimacy for his program and his party, or the extreme right would come out first and then he would act as the president savior, kind of using his veto power and his position to moderate and be the final block to the extreme right. But now his party is not the largest and we saved ourselves from the extreme right and the left came out front. And there's no real role for him to play. Like he doesn't need to save us from the left. And so he's running the clock, hoping something unlocks and makes him the hero again.
And while all this is going on, while Macron is doing his Macroning, who is governing, if anyone? I assume someone is.
Well, the same old government. So the old government has resigned, but they have a caretaker role. But it's getting increasingly problematic because many of them have been elected deputies, and the constitution is very clear that you cannot be a deputy and a minister at the same time.
And it's clear that there's also not a solution for that issue except for just doing the correct thing.
Well, yeah, they have to resign,
Okay.
yes.
So I think we're going to run out of time. And we haven't even talked about the trains yet, Juliette. And the trains are important.
The trains are important.
They're cool.
Yesterday was such a chaos of events, but this was a very, very big deal. So what happened, if you haven't followed, some absolute idiots went ahead and burned some optic fiber cables that the high-speed trains rely on. So trains were delayed massively all over the country.
By now, do we know who did it?
We still don't know. Or if the investigators know, they haven't shared that information. They might know. Through the day, like so many different groups were mentioned, anywhere from anarchists to Russia to extreme left to extreme right. But the reality is we don't know, and I think at this point the guessing game is quite unhelpful. What is obvious is that whoever did this was hoping to cause damage to the Olympics, not directly by hurting people, but just creating a massive disturbance.
And did they? How did the French public react to this? Were they angry? Were they scared?
I think they definitely annoyed massively everyone. I think everyone is just massively pissed off. They disturbed for sure some people who were going to the opening ceremony, but
Okay.
that's it.
So mostly just pissed off everyone. That very much seems to be how I see France enacting on things like this. To be fair, I'm pissed off as well. I'm not even there. I think good, reliable rail is one of those critical bits of infrastructure we need to fight climate change. and by damaging that, it has big consequences. Because it's not so much for this event, but it's a lot of trust
Yeah.
that you erode with this.
Yeah.
It's counterproductive for a better future.
Absolutely, I completely agree.
Oh, well.
So that was a massive bummer. But should we end on a high note? Something nice that happened yesterday that's actually absolutely not about the Olympics.
Okay.
Okay? Wow.
Okay. It has to be a good one though.
It's a very good one. So
Let me take a sip of water first.
Ahaha. You have read ahead, haven't you?
I see the word.
You see the word. So if you have a glass or drinking glasses in your house, some of them might be made by a company called Duralex. I think at least almost everyone in Europe has drunk out of Duralex.
The glass I'm holding right now says Duralex at the bottom.
So it's a French glass maker, and they have been in financial troubles for a while. They have been going through a bankruptcy procedure, and yesterday was the time for a court decision on a possible takeover. And so there were three options on the table, two fairly classic ones and one a bit out of the box. The classics were another manufacturer and a metal forge, of all things. But the winner was the out-of-the-box solution, which was the current employees.
Huh.
They presented to the judge the possibility of an employee-run co-op, and they had apparently by far the most solid plan. They also had support from the region, which is also how they managed to get some of the required funds. This also means that everyone gets to keep their jobs because the other options came with layoffs.
That is cool. That's seriously a happy thing. Does it mean I'm holding a communist drinking glass right now? What does it mean?
I guess you are holding a communist glass. I don't know if it's retroactive. But yes, the means of productions now belong to the workers.
So I guess you're really happy about this. This is a thing that cheers you up.
We are definitely going to get new glasses.
Okay, let's put it at the Christmas list at least. I think this should be it for this week. Maybe next week will be a bit quieter, or Macron will change his mind, name a prime minister.
I doubt it. I don't think Macron will do anything that doesn't benefit him. Maybe somehow he'll find it benefits him. But yeah, we'll see next week. So we'll see you then, everyone. À la semaine prochaine.
Bye.